Going live. Going live.
Going live. Boop, 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 boop. Well,
Look at that.
well, hey guys.
Wait, where are we at? Oh, there we are.
There you are.
I found
What's
us.
up, buddy?
That's
Hey guys,
cool.
welcome back to Testing Normal. I'm so excited for you guys to get to listen to another episode.
Because it's going to be amazing.
Because this is our 82nd episode. And 82nd is...
82.
82nd?
Yeah.
Is 82nd a term? Can you say 82nd?
Wait, 80
Yeah.
seconds a term.
82nd, yeah.
Yeah.
So 82, anyways, episode 82. And this is Testing Normal. This is Curtis.
And this is Jordan.
This podcast where we talk about anything and everything we want to.
And tonight we have an amazing guest
An
with us.
amazing guest!
And if you're wondering why I'm holding this like this, it's because our little switcher keeps wigging out.
That switcher
So,
helps us change views.
to this.
Whoa!
Look at that.
David Patty,
Hey guys.
coming
David
to you
Patty.
live.
Yes.
Back at us again.
Yes.
I'm just going to set this
Yep.
right there and hope it works.
David Patty
Oh, please.
is one of our favorite guests. Also one of our first guests. I think not our first one, but he was closer. He was with
Super close.
in our original
the first
studio.
batch, yeah.
Yeah.
You might have been. I have to go back and look.
In our original studio, though, David was there. He experienced the garage wooden pallet studio.
You did.
with
You haven't been in this one yet.
drywall on top of it.
No, I haven't. This is totally new.
It's way better, isn't it?
And improved.
It improved. It's been improved along the way. It's got some of the same decorations and
Very nice job.
the whatnots.
So-
Same couch.
A little bit of a throwback, just so you guys can recall. David, Mr. Patty, is a outstanding citizen. He is.
Yes, I've heard.
He
I've heard.
is.
I ran a background check on him this morning.
He works for DHS, and he helps to investigate.
Yeah.
I guess child abuse cases.
Shipping problems?
Well, it's various
Various
settings.
types of settings.
Just started a week ago.
Just started a week ago, so
Doing that.
he's
like,
an expert in
I don't
this
really know
subject.
what I do yet.
Yeah, he basically knows everything. If you have any
cool.
questions about DHS, let us know.
Don't ask
David-
my wife.
David will tell us everything. But also kind of a relevant topic that we were kind of interested in this week, and David's going to have a little bit of insight into as well, is pertaining to our local city has I always, for some reason, assumed it was a YMCA, but it's not a
It's
YMCA. But it's a local indoor pool slide,
What's YMCA
kind of a
stand for
fun
again?
thing. Young men collegiate athletes.
That seems legit.
Is it? Is it?
Checks out. No.
That checks out.
Name checks out.
If anybody listening
Yeah.
right now could check and tell us what YMCA stands for, maybe.
I thought it was Christians Association.
Fact
Young Men
checker has
Christians
entered the
Association.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be it. So anyhow, there's been recent dramas pertaining to this facility, the swimming facility, because
I will say there's been recent drama revolving around all election and ballot results.
yes, but
and this would be one of them.
this is one that impacts our city more, I guess, for
Yeah, no, it totally
our,
impacts us.
our children's sake. But the pool, I believe, has been voted recently to be defunded and shut down. Is that correct?
Yeah. So more specifically, so there's a local option levy for City of Stayton that we attempted to send out to the voters back in, I want to say May.
The citizens of Stayton or to
Correct.
the county?
Citizens of Stayton
Okay.
solely,
Stayton.
right? So,
And that's what's kind of annoying is because we live in
Yeah.
we have I call it the Tri-Cities.
right, the Tri-Cities.
So we have Almsville, Stayton, Sublimity,
Right.
and the pool is in Stayton.
Yep.
And this option was not on the other two cities, which by and large used the pool as
Right,
well.
exactly.
Right.
That's
So-
exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
It
Anyway.
should have been maybe a county.
Yeah, so that's actually
Or
interesting you
Tri-Cities
bring
bill.
that up. So when this happened, we got a lot of mail from constituents, and a lot of them were like, "Hey, why isn't this like a district pool, right?"
Yeah.
And the answer to that is nobody's ever thought to make it a district pool, as far as I understand.
You guys
right?
didn't come ask me.
Yeah, I know.
that's
We
the
should have
problem.
thought Jordan Lambert should have stopped there.
So so currently though there was a levy that went out,
Right, in
and
May.
it was a vote
Mhm.
by the citizens of Stayton. We increase, I assume, taxes to pay for this pool?
So there was a slight increase this time around, but basically what it was doing is reauthorizing a levy that's already in place currently as we speak.
Okay.
It was 60 cents per,
So we were trying to up it to 70 cents back then, I believe is what the figure was.
but this
And-
time it was 65.
So this time it was 65. We had lowered it
Yeah.
with the mind that, hey, there's a pandemic at foot. And then the
Right.
last time we weren't obviously successful by a very thin margin.
So was there
Voters.
currently a deficit of funding for the pool, and that's why you were trying to change the levy?
No, we're just trying to renew it. Right?
Okay, so
it's something that's been in
when did
place
it expire?
So it's supposed to expire the end of this next budget year. So the end of our budget year would be June.
Okay.
Let's say it was May or June.
2021.
Okay,
is when
June
it'll be
2021.
over,
Got
right?
it.
Yeah.
But there's some other things that revolve around that. But just to be clear, before I ask that question,
Yes.
it's was going to be 70 cents. Then on this time it was 65 cents, which I did vote yes for, just to put it out there. 65 cents, and it was was it per 10,000 per 1,000 per
assessed
1,000
value to your home. Yeah.
So what is that? I mean, say your home is 200,000. I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah.
We wish we had a Jamie here.
Young Seven, can you look that up for us real quick?
Yeah. What's 0.65 times?
What's 0.65
200.
times
200
200?
for 200,000?
Yeah, 0.65 times 200,000.
Yeah. No. Times 200 because it's per 1,000.
So to kind of beat you on some of this math, we basically calculated this was like a $10 to $20 increase for the average home within Stayton. And
Okay.
we figured
Per year?
per month in taxes.
Oh, per
right?
month?
Yeah, that's what I was
it's
trying
about
to figure out.
$10
Is
$20, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Go for
So
it.
yeah. Go ahead.
What is it?
$130. Okay.
So that would be for the year,
Yeah.
right?
It's not too terrible.
Not too terrible when it comes out to your taxes.
Right. So, originally that's kind of how we sent it out, was for the 70 cents. And then this time around it was the 65 cents. And so we were thinking that by lowering it, okay, perhaps City of State,
Right.
they'll be okay with that.
Right.
Unfortunately, it lost again. It was unsuccessful by a very thin margin again. And so right now we're trying to gather enough information to decide what we're going to do going forward here, with the thought of, hey, this funding's never going to be here because it's going to run out at the end of June, right?
Right.
So we're operating with the principle that, hey, perhaps we can have it because we have another chance to put this on a ballot this
You
coming
have time.
May.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing is
Then it wouldn't go into effect.
Well, it would go into effect
Okay.
right after that. We'd be able to do that.
Okay, good.
But there's a lot of other organizations right now hurting, and there's probably a lot of other organizations that are putting out ballot measures for this,
Right.
and just trying to survive. So, I mean, it's going to be more competitive going forward, trying to get
Interesting.
this levy.
So let me ask you this about the levy. So, and for those of you that just joined us, we're talking about the levy that's trying to support the Stayton pool from closing. Also, I want to give a shout out. Hey, Ben Newell. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Miss you. Miss your Musk. But when this levy, has this levy been in place since the pool was built and since it's been started?
The levy has not been in place since the pool was built.
So if there was operating cost for the pool to be, and they knew it was something that this is going to be the cost to keep it funding, to keep it open, what has changed that requires this new, or what has changed that requires the levy for it to stay open?
So nothing has changed that requires the levy to have it stay open, because we've had the levy in place since, I want to say, 98.
Okay.
And prior to that, I'm not really sure exactly how it was even funded.
Well,
quite
so
frankly.
before that though, it's now an indoor pool. It
Yeah,
did not.
didn't have
It
a
did not
roof.
used to be.
Right.
And so then the other part that I had learned, and I'll get to some other drama that I started, but is that this whole COVID BS has caused it to. There's like a $500,000 repair that needs to be done on the inside, the air
HVAC.
filtration, because somehow that's going to prevent people from getting COVID.
Well, specifically, it's a state guideline that we're trying to fulfill, right? For ventilation.
Well,
right?
yes, it
Is
still doesn't make it any less
it
ridiculous.
Is there
And I can say that. So
You can, yeah.
is there a funding issue with the pool currently just because of the pandemic and not enough business has been going to the pool? Is that an impact on it?
So we had to close the pool during the onset of the COVID pandemic, right? And then we just opened it very limited back in July, and that was a vote that was pretty tough for all of us to take. In fact, staff was telling us, "Hey, don't do this. This is against our recommendation, but here's how we would do it if you wanted to."
Okay.
And so they opened it.
everyone must swim with masks.
It was more like
No tooting in the pool.
Yeah.
No pool toots.
no pool toots. But yeah, so we started in July. It was getting pretty successful with members coming back and things like that. So, but as far as financially, I mean, there's a lot of difficulties.
Because I would say, like, could perhaps rather than having a levy, could they just raise the prices of membership to the pool?
We actually already did that.
Okay.
They were raised last year 10%, right?
Okay.
So we're already there, unfortunately, and
It's on city land, right?
Yeah, it's city property there.
What if is it like Native American land? So they could have like
Indian
a little casino on the pool.
I think we have a
And, like,
solution.
what if they just put slots
Yeah, I don't think we could
Around the
organize that
pool?
as a city.
Why not?
No?
It's just we'll do that as a vote. We make that Native American land. We start slot machines. That funds the pool.
See, these ideas
Done.
are where you guys need to come to city council
Done.
meetings and offer them up, especially
It's like
you,
Parks
Jordan.
and Recreation.
I mean, I guess they're all on Zoom now.
Yeah, they are.
I'm going to join with like different masks on and just present
love
different
that.
ideas.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, I hope you do that. But no, I mean financially, yeah, we are kind of in trouble because of the HVAC system that you mentioned. We also need to put in a new surge pit, and you got to get to all these pipes that are actually fitted in concrete right now.
Oh, no.
So that's like thousands of dollars. I mean, I have this whole chart right here of different things that need to be done to it, but at the end of the day, we're looking at this thing, and if we have no levy, it's a $300,000 to $400,000 hole in our budget every year.
So
Projected.
now, this
Dang.
isn't specifically related to the actual pool itself, but maybe to the budget of Stayton.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're saying that would create a $300 to $400
For the pool.
for the pool hole.
Yeah.
So there's a two-part question.
Okay.
As a whole, is the city of Stayton budget-wise have that much extra surplus that it could absorb and handle that 300 to 400 hole?
That's a really good question. I asked that specifically during our last work session meeting, and the answer that I kind of received was like, okay, so for us to do that, we would have to take $300,000 or $400,000, and the majority of that would have to probably come from the police department because 110% of our property taxes actually go to the police department to fund it, right?
Wait, 110%?
10%, right? Yeah.
How do you have more than the...
Well, we have other streams of revenue other than property taxes, right? So you also got your charges for service, like your water and things like that.
Right.
And fees.
Okay.
So you got that. So ultimately, we already had to eliminate a police officer position last time, right? And that was to make sure that the PERS unfunded liability that we have is taken care of, and that the money that would have paid that officer, right, is there to eventually pay out retirement balances to people. So they've already taken a hit, and that's something that I actually mentioned during the work session. I said, the police department's not in any position right now to give up that kind of funding.
Right.
And we're already strapped seeing some rising property crime that I'm just hearing about. It seems like from citizens is a lot of people are desperate. They don't have money.
So the city doesn't have enough basically that it could easily absorb that type of funding.
Not easily, not at all.
Not to mention that we did have like this whole fire thing happen.
Yeah,
and
something about that.
And where that didn't directly necessarily affect our people here, but a lot of them have businesses that are local that have been affected by either by the fire, by this quote unquote pandemic, and so it's just, I can say it all I want, dude.
Not only that, but you brought up a good point right there. So are we going to make this a pool district, right? And then ask all those people that were just impacted to go ahead and front money for this pool?
Right.
That's a tough question.
So
I'm not even saying make the district up the canyon.
Yeah.
Because but it does make sense for the neighboring towns. Like, because now, I mean, we're literally like touching edges with each other. It's like Salem and Kaiser share things.
Right. So the second part of that...
it'll probably be an option we have to... I mean, everything's on the table for us.
Right. The second part of that question, though, would be...
Yes, please. Sorry.
Is the funding that the city has received, has it been significantly negatively impacted by the cannery being shut down? Because from what I was aware of, the cannery did pay a ton in water tax or disposal water,
charge for service.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of funding that created for the city. So has that been like a pretty significant hit to the city?
Yes, it has been a significant hit to the city. I will say a really good thing about our city staff, though. Our city finance director, we just hired her on not too long after I came to office, and she's been great throughout all this. She's anticipated a lot of these things, especially during COVID-19. I mean, we sat down, we had a meeting, and she said, here's what I am doing, because this is what I expect our revenues to do, and this is what I expect our expenses to do. And they came to us like back in March, I want to say, and they're giving us this information, and they're like, we're planning, we're preparing. And that's so good. City staff for Stayton have been on top of this, and it's mitigated a lot of those impacts, especially from COVID and that as well. Because if you remember, I think the cannery closure was about October. So it was shortly after that.
Or close to.
And that wasn't the first time they threatened that. So it's not like we didn't realize they were on their way trying to close. And we had enough farmers that were like, hey, I never got paid. And like, okay, well, where'd that money go?
Yeah, that's a significant complaint.
Yeah. It's like, those are some red flags. When they stop paying certain things, it's like,
Yeah. And then the hope was that somebody would pick up that property, and put something else in there that would give us jobs and everything.
Like
and
a roller skating rink.
That's why a huge focus, my own personal time in office, has been to develop the infrastructure in that
absolutely.
area.
Huge.
Because once we have the infrastructure, people are going to be more willing to develop that area and bring jobs to this town.
Has there been any rumors floating around as for potential infrastructure or investors in that area? Any
there's always
significant ones.
Yeah, we call them like tire kickers, right? They come and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening a blah blah blah." But that kind of thing happens all the time. And to be honest with you, I don't even hear about it all the time.
Really?
It's usually when it starts bubbling up to the surface and people get more serious that they're like, "Hey, we're
Can
looking
you
at
say
this."
some of the big things that are potential
or what they rhyme with?
I can't. I'm
no,
sorry.
that's okay. No, that's fair.
I
That's fair. You can't. We can't.
There's been a lot of
get you in
drama
trouble.
with that, I will say.
Really? Has there? Oh my gosh.
Are any
You'll
of them
find out.
a roller skating rink? That'd be fun.
I haven't heard of a roller skating rink.
No.
Sorry.
Boeing? Is Boeing interested? Maybe. That'd be
cool.
Bowling would be amazing.
Pretty
That
big
would
deal,
be-
First,
right?
I thought you said bowling, and I was like, "Yeah, we need another bowling alley in Stayton."
That'd be a massive bowling alley.
But
it would be fantastic.
I know. What if it was like
Bowling,
giant bowling balls,
Paintball,
life sized? Well, I guess it's
laser
real
tag,
Oh, that'd be cool.
maybe something like
laser
that.
laser tag / paintball. Like one
It
team
shoots laser.
one
and
team gets
paintball.
paintball guns.
I would
One
never
team
leave,
gets laser
though.
tag.
Can't do that.
Oh, that's so good. And slash slot machines. So the city
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
extra.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go. We need to have slot.
Here's
This
the
is
deal. We just need to start gambling. in
We just
Stayton.
need to bring that revenue to the city.
That's the message I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think you're hearing our main idea always comes back to slot machines.
Everything comes back to slot machines.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I said a rich benefactor coming along and paying for all of this, but
True. That would be okay.
I'll take slot machines.
Well, that
too.
makes me wonder. Like, it's $500,000 is a lot.
Oh, for the HVAC system.
Yeah. How much is just to build a new building and not retrofit the stupid ones
Millions
there
of
now?
dollars.
Really?
And that's the other thing too, is how you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Hey, they build a roof over it. Well, guess what? We need a new roof. It's
Oh.
leaking. It's not in good
Perfect.
shape.
Well, it's okay if it leaks. It's water.
Yeah,
it's
it's water.
protecting.
It's
So
water.
you
Not
can
water you wanted the
yeah.
pool.
Okay. it's like if we got a leak above the pool, perfect. We don't have to fill it as often.
But that's actually
Like-
kind of a good point, though. That's kind of a good point because a pool originally was open to the air.
Yeah.
So water was getting flowing down on that anyways in the first
point.
place.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So essentially, though, the answer, some of the potential kind of thought processes is maybe if we can make it a multi-city or county or surrounding districts
Yeah.
funding rather than just the city itself.
To be honest with you, here's where I'm at personally as an individual counselor. In May, when this goes back out on the ballot, I am hoping it is successful that time and we don't have to deal with that. Like, I would like to just hit the pavement and not being encumbered by COVID and being able to just talk to people and say, hey, this is what's going on. This isn't an increase even really at this point.
Right.
We've dropped it down to 65 cents per assessed $1,000 value.
Yeah.
So this is in your best interest, and families are going to run screaming from Stayton if this doesn't happen, right? So that's how I see it.
Well, so I think part of it is like, so I'll be honest, the only reason I heard about it, I would have voted for it on the ballot when I'd read it, right?
Oh,
but that's the first time I actually would have seen it had my wife, who is your cousin, had not said to me, hey, this is going to be on the ballot. And
yeah, and I didn't even hear about it.
David, well,
until you told me.
You don't matter in this.
Well, because it doesn't come to our city.
I know.
I guess
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but like that was the first time I saw it. So, is there something that we could do as a city, to push that more? Maybe like, I guess what I'm thinking is that like cheap Facebook ads that go to like, or just having people have the moderators put it up in our like Stayton Community Connections,
some
Facebook
type of fundraiser
with like graphics that say like, hey, the average home, this is what it's going to cost per month to keep the pool open. Yeah. If you don't vote yes, the pool is going away.
Yeah. So there's a lot that we have kind of talked about as far as educational campaigns from the city level. Right. But it's important to understand as a city, they can't advocate for a position on this either way. Does that make sense?
The city councilors?
I guess. No. The city staff, the city manager, the people who are putting this forward to us.
Oh, okay.
They can't say, hey, you should vote this in. Hey, you shouldn't vote this out. Right?
Oh, to you.
They can't say that to us. They can't say that to the general public. So the people who have to advocate for this right now is us, right? our elected officials for this, and we have to tell our general people, hey, this is why we need it. And we've been so limited by COVID and talking to people about this. I try to do it on Facebook and talk to people I know and everything, but we're limited in reach that way. And before, like when I would campaign in Stayton, I would just go door to door and connect with people that way and say, this is why this is important, or this is why I'm running,
Yeah.
And that was really effective for me.
And what's preventing you from I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Right. And so I'm hoping that in May we'll probably have a little bit more ability to do that. There's also a group, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, and I apologize for that, they were the political action committee that kind of advocated for this.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see them do a little bit more development too, and they did a great job the last time.
Well, I think that just making, even if they created or someone created like a simple graphic that just showed it.
Yeah.
And then you could start out with your friends, like, hey, are you willing to share this on your Facebook page?
Yeah.
Ask your friends to share this on your Facebook page for anyone in Stayton.
Yeah.
Ask the moderators of these different groups, because there's 3 different groups for Stayton,
because
nobody wants to hear things that doesn't drive with their own thing, which is a whole other problem.
Societal.
But getting people to do it that way, it lost by what, like 18 votes or something stupid,
29 or something like that at this point.
Yeah. That's crazy close.
This is a couple dozen.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really tough election night. It was razor thin. And we were winning at first, and I was really excited.
Here's another thing that I want to know how many registered voters, or how many potential voters there are in Stayton, because the amount of votes that came in from Stayton is infuriatingly embarrassing.
Like low?
Super low. Like, if you guys there's enough Trump and United States flags and come take my gun flags and all this other stuff. If you're not voting, you are a freaking idiot.
How many? We know you guys care.
We know you care enough that you don't care if people key your truck.
What was the number of votes that came in, like, total? Can you say that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's totally public knowledge.
Yeah, it's public record.
I think it was like 6,000.
But I think that the specific local option levy, it wasn't even voted on by a bunch of people. I don't know if you saw the undervote on that. It was pretty high. It was in the thousands. Yeah, people they didn't even.
No, because it wasn't even 6,000. It was like maybe the people that voted on that one specifically, it was like less than 3.
I think it trickled up a little bit, but yeah, it was around that, and that is sad. I agree with you.
Yeah,
people should be putting forward what they want, the values for their town, right?
That's interesting.
There's one thing I do not understand is people that are like, yeah, it's not worth it to vote. Now, given this election cycle, I would say you probably, unless we get this fixed, there's going to be a lot of people that think there's no reason to vote anymore because they're just picking who they want to pick.
Like half the country about.
Yeah. But
half the country.
But all that said, like, we do have a vote in this country, and there's a ton of countries that don't. And if you just are like, sorry, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to do it because for whatever your reason is. Whatever your reason is, besides I'm a felon and I can't.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Or you're not a citizen.
Or you're not a citizen.
Yeah, sorry, John.
Although just like 90,000 people in Arizona were not citizens that apparently voted.
Is there
I didn't see that. Jeez.
So I guess kind of the last thing with the city pool options, does it have to be? Do you have to get approval from the other districts, or how would you incorporate them into that vote? Does it have to go to like some? Because it has to go above the city of Stayton for basically. So does the governor have to play part in this?
To be honest with you, I don't even know what it's.
That would be interesting to see how you would get involved.
I bet what would have to happen is those cities would have to get involved to put it on their own,
like
ballot,
their mayors,
and have some sort of agreement, a joint agreement between the cities,
something like that.
And that would have to be started like yesterday to happen in May.
So we're already behind the curve ball on that. That's why it's
for sure.
Probably not the way we're going to go.
No, but it's something to think about for the future.
Exactly.
Like, should it come up again, be like, hey, we want to build a whole new pool?
Well, the other thing right now is we're closing the pool, right? And that's partially just because of that $500,000 HVAC situation. Right. And it's also to go ahead and save money, because if it does fail again, right, we want at least a year or two of time to decide for the library at the very least, like, how are we going to fund this library? Because that facility is hugely important to the populace of Stayton. Right. Because a lot of people go there to use their internet, right? I mean, sounds over here.
Yeah. Like, we have internet at our house.
But it's a necessary resource for the this day and age for a lot of people.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's interesting.
I have a solution to the roof and the HVAC problem.
Lay it on me.
It's going to blow your mind right now.
Take it off.
Okay.
Just take the roof off. Don't need HVAC.
Make it an outdoor pool
and again. You don't need a roof.
Make it an outdoor pool again.
Yeah, just whoop.
Yeah. I can't wait to swim in 32 degrees. That's going to be fun.
Dude, I've done it. It's super fun.
If it's a warm pool.
Yeah.
If it's a warm pool, it's that could actually be
one of the
fun.
most exhilarating things I've done is go in a hot tub in the snow when it's like 3 feet of powder outside, and you just jump out of the hot tub and roll through the snow. It feels like you're being stabbed by a bunch of teeny
It's like
tiny
being
knives,
burned.
and then you jump back in, and it feels the same way as it did when you jumped in the snow.
Army basic training really sucked, didn't it?
That was an Army basic. They just made us stay out in the cold, like shivering next to each other in a hole not deep enough to shield the wind.
Not in the Air Force, buddy.
I know. Yeah, Chair Force. That's right.
Dude, well, I'm going to switch topics a little bit here, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And go on to, it still has to do with voting.
Do it.
But I don't know if you guys have been paying much attention to lately what's been going on with the whole Brexit situation.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Have you been paying
It's
attention
been
to that
getting
much?
messy.
It's been getting super messy, dude.
I've watched a
Super
little
messy.
bit of it. Yeah.
And I've been reading articles about it because it's really fascinating me how I really liked the idea of the EU, and I liked how they kind of supported each other, but then I understand a lot of the Britons were concerned that they were getting a poor deal out of the EU.
Yeah.
So that's why a majority of them voted against staying in the EU.
By majority, you mean like 3 more people than
technically the
other-
majority, though.
Yeah.
Technically a majority. So anyhow, but there's a lot of concerns right now because they're not figuring out how to close and wrap up this deal, and they're getting to this deadline essentially.
It's not the first deadline.
Not the first deadline, but it's like
It's
each
not
deadline.
even the second deadline.
So what happened when the
deadline
deadline
gets
passed
more
last
severe.
time, Curtis?
When the deadline passed last time,
The last times, yeah.
like they went past the point of, I think that there was an extension to just continue doing what they were previously doing at that point.
They had. It's been so long since I read about it. When the first one did pass, they filed some sort of weird extension that was agreed upon.
So
but there is a point at which,
but that's what
if they can't settle it,
that's what they're saying though for this next deadline. It is a point where basically a lot of like produce is going to be stopped. It's going to be no longer going to the Britain.
Yeah.
And so the government, this is the crazy thing. The government is sending 2 different messages right now. One message is they're saying to the stores, they're saying stock up and have several months extra supply. And
how do you have several extra months of produce?
Well, I guess non-perishable produce, so like canned and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, but and then they're sending, but then they're telling to the people, the populace, they're saying, don't stock up, don't hoard supplies or food right now.
Sounds like masks.
So
sounds like toilet paper.
Basically, what's going to happen though is when the government tells stores to stock up, people hear, "Oh crap, there's going to be a shortage. We're going to stock up."
Yep.
So there's no point in them telling the people not to stock up because that, and so they've already shown on a lot of the shelves like food is just like getting hoarded across the country right now, and so
they're like, "Crap, what did we vote for?"
It's getting squirrely. Yeah. Not only has Britain have to deal with the whole pandemic and have to deal with all this crazy stuff going on in the world right now, but also their EU separation funding deals, supplies.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that's the worst time that you could deal with that sort of situation right now.
Yeah, they can't even go between Ireland and the UK at that point, right?
And that's what I guess not, right? Because Ireland, well, I don't understand. The whole entire Great Britain alliance all comes under the United Kingdom, but then it's separate countries. I don't really understand what they're.
They need to like just have a vote and be like, "Do you guys want to just Brex off?"
Yeah.
Like we're just sorry, bad idea.
I know they could revote. They could. Yeah, I guess that's.
I mean, maybe we could take them over. They tried to do that. To
Exit
us.
the Brexit. Now, I don't know if they want us to take over them right now.
Great Britain over?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't even keep our own people in line right now, let alone like them.
Yeah.
That'd be a squirrely situation.
It would be super interesting. Yeah. I think we'd be having some like Hong Kong
Brex in.
Yeah, Brex in. Just ship them all here, guys.
So
we
anyways,
do really well with immigrants.
All y'all keep your eyes on the Britain news because it's going to get a little crazy.
Speaking of Britain news.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it was last night. It might have been the night. Everything has flown together for me. But did you guys hear about this leak that happened?
Yes.
It came out of Australia.
So are you referring to the Chinese?
Yes.
The Chinese was it Communist Party leak?
Yes.
Yes.
So
CCP.
1.95 million people.
Right.
Who are as I understand it, and David, you can correct me since you've you've heard this. They are pledged to the Chinese
CCP.
Communist Party, which basically means your whole life, everything, you support them no matter where you're at, no matter what you do. Essentially, any one of these people could be a covert spy in some regard. Some of them are students.
Yeah.
So I will say that, which is fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you see how many of those folks are over here in the United States?
There's like 56. What?
Not a lot.
Was it like
thousands?
It was thousands, right? I think it was like 5,600 or something like that. Yeah. And they're all spread amongst
companies.
They're spread amongst companies, government agencies, and just at all different.
There are
types
some
of
students
levels.
too, I think.
No. Yeah, there were.
Surely.
I'm sure that there were some students. Yeah, but I mean, like as I think we talked about this last week. Like Georgia has a Chinese-facing website that their governor is on, where he's like promoting, like getting funding from them. And there was a whole thread this last day or so after this came out. People have been showing pictures of all the governors of different states who have been doing deals with Chinese leaders and foreign agents, like to the extent where it's like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? Like as a governor, why in the world are you the one making those deals for these things? And a lot of these people that are there, because some of them, they can't find any of them. They're like, this governor, I can't find a picture that they have ever seen one of them. And it will be like a pretty conservative state. But all the ones that have like these serious lockdowns, serious issues, have been blue for a long time in their voting and everything, all have these dealings with higher up Chinese powers.
So related to the CCP members, what I thought was kind of interesting, I read several different articles about this.
Is that they only recognize male and female genders?
No,
because they do.
But
just throw that out there.
But catch up with the times, Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
Rude. But what was interesting to me is that the articles and some of the governments have made comments about it already.
Yeah.
And they've said that, yes, these people are in our country. We know who they are.
Yeah.
And they are part of the CCP, but technically they have not been found to have committed any acts of espionage. So there's nothing illegal about them being a part of this party. So we have not done any actions in pursuing them. So it's kind of like they're part of this club. And I'm using club as a general term. But they're part of this group or club that supports the Communist Party. Mm-hmm. But they have not acted in what our country would deem in a criminal act. And so we can't tell them not to be part of that party.
I would say that has been found, because there are stuff coming out now. Like, what was I texting you? I texted David this too, the Fartgate.
Yeah, I mean, there are, of course, some...
So it's like Swalwell, who clearly just dodges around the question of, did you have sex with this Chinese spy? Yeah. And he's like, well, the thing and the thing, and I think...
But the thing about this is... And then, we get this little crazy thing, and then,
what kind of world are we in when Farty McFarterson is,
Headlines?
Yeah. Is not only headlines, but is a security threat.
But this is what I would like to say. A couple things. About the United States in particular.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that you can be a part of any group, any party, any affiliation, and it not be illegal.
Freedom to associate.
Freedom to associate in the United States.
Unless you're voting for a Republican, and then you can be outed and deleted off of YouTube.
Well, but that's a company making their decision, I guess, not the government persecuting them. So the government in particular, I do like the fact that you can be a part of the country. And like, if you were in Iran and you were found to be, like, I don't know, some type of, I would say, Christian organization,
right,
you could potentially face legal repercussions. But we have that freedom of religion, freedom of association. So there are things that I'm careful, like, I don't want to say they should be kicked out of our country because of that.
I think this, I would go back, because there are things you can't be in the United States. You could say, I support this, you can use your free speech, but when you're a part of this, so like someone was like KGB, they're not going to stand for that.
Well, but that's
and back in like the Cold War and everything.
But there's a difference between...
But if you're pledged to the Chinese Communist Party, that's a little bit different than just being okay with China. Like, I mean, if you go look at their creed and what they're vowing their life to, I would say, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion, I would say I don't think that should be allowed.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
What would you then do for those people?
Deport them.
So you would deport anybody on that list?
Yeah.
Okay. So
especially right now.
Okay. And I know where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
And just go with me here. Okay?
Yeah.
So what if they were on that list on accident? Or what if there was some sort of mistake?
You could like look into it.
What recourse?
But here's the thing: if they're on that list that was encrypted with 1.95 million things from China that don't want you to find it, that's part of their CSV database, I'm gonna have to say that probably wasn't an accident that you got put on that.
Can you go into more detail about how the information got released? Because I didn't.
I actually
look into
don't.
that.
I don't know how exactly because I didn't look that deeply into it. I know that it was a list that it got leaked through a network in Australia.
Yeah. Was it
but that's
someone
about all
within
I
the
know.
China party that released the information?
Or did they were passing. I think they were passing information, and it got captured.
Okay,
because it was an Australian news agency that broke the news that this had been captured. Right. They didn't really say.
Yeah, there were 3 other news organizations that had the information too, and I want to say that it was being released to embarrass Xi Jinping, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
right. There's a drama going on between Australia and China right now.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this a couple podcasts ago with Jono.
Yep.
How China has a major kind of
they said
battle
make us,
going on with Australia.
If you make us the enemy, we will become the enemy.
Yeah,
That's
if you
what
make
they
us
said.
the enemy, we will be your enemy. Like, whoa, China. So all this talk about China, it seems, and the question is it as something Jordan has been very conscious of? There's a active media spin in politics.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious how much of a degree of the media spin is there towards China with our country and our citizens, because I'm seeing a lot of media talking about negative ways towards China. Now, a lot of it could be true. I don't know. Yeah. But one thing that I thought was really interesting is I read another article. I'm seeing tons of articles about China lately. I
have some thoughts on why that is, but continue.
Keep a bookmark on it because I want to hear.
But that's why so you'll remind me.
Okay, perfect. So I read an article that just came out about Switzerland and China. Okay. Did you see this?
No,
So Switzerland in 2015 signed an agreement with China allowing China to hold, detain, and interrogate certain citizens and that China deems either hostile towards the Chinese Communist Party.
Well, we covered that a few months back, saying they were trying to get us to do that to our own U.S. citizens.
Well, but here's the question. Here's the thing. A lot of people within Bangkok, right? Hong Kong, and other territories are saying, hey, Switzerland, you're supposed to be, first of all, neutral. But
that's the whole point.
That's the whole point. But secondly,
you have super good watches and everyone can send money to you.
The risk is like, what if somebody from Hong Kong is trying to get away from the Chinese party and they seek asylum in Switzerland? Are you going to allow then? Are you going to say, hey, China, we've made this deal with you that anybody we have here that you want, we'll detain them and you can come interrogate them? Oof. It's like, why would a country give China that much power? Like, that's just really special.
I think it has to do with money, because there's been money that's been traced to coming through to Dominion voting systems through Swiss Bank that was 75% funded by China money that came through.
Yeah, they got money everywhere, man.
So, but I will say, I don't think that I don't think it's a coincidence that you're seeing a ton about China, because here's what I think is going on. Number one, there's a ton of evidence that's coming out, whether anyone listening right now has gone and looked at it or whatnot, that's very much tied to the votes having been switched. Tomorrow morning, they're meeting in Michigan to try and force the release of a forensic evidence that was done on Antrim County in Michigan, which was that first little county that switched 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden and then swapped back. And that was the first county that mentioned that. They did a forensics audit. The company said, definitely the machines did it, but we can't release the information because now the Attorney General of Michigan has put a gag order on that evidence and says for the reasons of security, we're not going to release that. And now they're trying to certify their vote and everything. And that company is saying, hey, they shouldn't. It's fraudulent. All the machines are switching votes. And they can't release their forensics evidence unless the Attorney General lets them. So they have all the machine information and images and everything from the voting machines, from 20 some odd different voting machines in this one tiny little county, that proves that this was going on throughout the state. and being sent outside the country. So I say all this because there's a ton of evidence coming in. Somebody has to be blamed, because if there's people here that were complicit in that, they want as much as they can to say China did it, China did it, China did it, China did it. And so just in the last 4 days,
so that's where the media
you've seen mainstream media say China's doing this, China's doing this, China's doing this, to try, probably, it's just a guess, to shield or block those who are complicit that we're working with inside of our country.
Fascinating.
That's
fascinating theory.
Yeah.
So I will say, because YouTube will take us offline, and so will Facebook if we don't say that the mainstream media thinks that they can call who the president is, and they have said that that is projected to be Joe Biden because the safe harbor date has passed and tomorrow is the day when the electors meet. But I would like to add to anyone who's listening from YouTube right now that neither one of those dates are in the Constitution. Neither is January 6th. The only one that is January 20th when the president is sworn in. And so I have to say that, yes, currently they think that they can choose Joe Biden. But regardless of what you want or think, I would say it is very, very, very much not over yet.
Yep.
So
that's my disclosure to keep us from getting kicked off of YouTube.
Dave,
I had a question. But
please. No.
So with that Antrim County situation, wasn't it a judge actually that was trying to block the evidence?
No, the judge ordered it. So the county did a bunch of hand counting and realized, oh shoot, because what happened was a bunch of bills got messed with.
What state was that in?
This was in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah. And so the judge said, yes, do a forensic audit. So they brought in a third party to do a forensic audit. They scanned all the machines. They took 8 hours, then took those images from the machines and looked through all the code and everything. And they gave them their report. As soon as the report came in, the Attorney General for Michigan stepped in and put a gag order on that information and said no one can see this.
Now, is that because it's proprietary information in the software?
That's their excuse, is they're saying we do not want to breach our secrecy clause that we have signed with Dominion because it is proprietary code.
Oh my gosh.
So this is...
So they have their meeting tomorrow morning.
Not related specifically to Michigan. And I saw you had an article about this because I've been reading up into it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
The recent, everybody's going to, it's going to be in the news. It's already in the news, obviously. But the Texas lawsuit specifically, that did actually reach the Supreme Court.
It only went to Supreme Court.
Right. But some cases have been trying to get to the Supreme Court. And this one...
Tons of cases are at Supreme Court right now.
But the judges accepted
So the reason why Texas went straight there is because anytime a state sues another state, that the only grounds they can sue at are Supreme Court. So they can't go to the lower courts.
Yeah. But the Supreme Court can agree whether or not they take the case.
Correct.
And they took the case, which is unique.
No, they did not take the case. They docketed the case, which means that it was filed correctly, and a ton of states signed on and said they agreed, and so did the president.
So what are you saying? What's the difference between docketed the case and
docketed means cool, you filed it correctly, it's in our system. They have to vote to take it up.
So in the Texas case though, they didn't actually vote on anything, or did they vote?
They did, and they didn't say how they voted. They said that it was unanimous, but it really doesn't sound like it. Yeah. So in some
so then that means they took it if they voted.
No.
What
they did was they dismissed it based on standing.
Yep.
So they said they didn't even look at the evidence. They just said, I'm sorry, you don't have standing to file this.
Okay, and what does that mean?
That means they did not prove that they were hurt in any way.
Injured party.
An injured party, yeah.
I see.
In this case, so they dropped it.
So the Supreme Court justices told the state of Texas, you do not have evidence that you
and all the other states that signed on,
and the other states that signed
Trump's
on,
legal team.
But you did not have evidence that harm was done.
No.
No, is that what the Supreme Court is telling them?
No, they didn't even look at the evidence. They said you're not the correct party to bring this to us.
Okay, so they're saying you're not the correct party.
Yes,
I see. And they had to vote though to determine that.
They did, but they don't reveal that vote because the Supreme Court works really interestingly. They always work behind closed doors. But as I had said in that,
are the votes? No, sometimes the votes get told.
Yes, but they didn't this time, and the reason why, and it makes sense if you think about it, is they're very, 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 very divided in their thinking. And so I don't know if you saw. So there's an article.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it real quick because I'll just read it. It's really short, really, really short.
It's an interesting article. It makes me a little bit. It seems a little bit suspicious.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think it's suspicious, but I think it makes sense. I won't read it. I'll put it in our show notes. It makes sense. It makes sense that they would say that. The standing thing, most people said that they probably wouldn't have standing. But what that did say is they didn't say the evidence didn't say anything.
They didn't rule on the merits.
So currently what's happened
Did they review the evidence?
No.
Okay.
So I'm sure they looked at it. Okay, but they didn't rule based on the evidence. They ruled based on standing.
Is that what they always have to do first? Do they always have to rule standing first, and then that allows you to go to the next step?
If they're going to turn it down, then yeah, they have to. They could say, "Sorry, there's not evidence," and do it, but they didn't. They didn't. So what they said was, I've read so many lawyers on this. So what they did say was, kind of what they're saying in the back of there is, yeah, the evidence is there, but you're not the party to do this to Texas.
Okay.
So what has happened is Trump's team has now taken that and pretty much carbon copied it in all those states to the Supreme Court. Because he is a harmed party.
He is the
They can't party. Say he has no standing.
So is the Trump group or party, I guess, are they currently presenting that case to the Supreme Court at this point?
No, they still have to take it up.
Because they can't it still
has to get docketed. But here's the deal: everyone will say tomorrow, and this is what the headlines are going to say: is that the electors have met,
right?
And we're sorry, it's done. It's already voted and done. Now, here's what can happen. Here's what people do not understand. Number one, there's 1,000 different ways this could go, but the legal one that could happen is this. I will preface with, I don't think this one will happen, is that when we vote for a slate of electors. One of those elector slates for your state votes for the Democratic Party. One of those elector slates votes for the Republican Party. So when you vote in those slate of electors, you by popular vote, that's the one you send. So if a state votes Biden, then those Biden electors who are Biden loyal to the Democratic Party go and vote. But if someone thinks that the state is contested, so say all these states pretty much are GOP predominant. So they have, meaning that there's more Republicans than there are Democrats. If they decide this is a contested thing, they can call a special session without their governor, without being in session, without anything. They can go to their capital. They can say, here's our electors, put their votes in an envelope, write their reason for it, say this is contested, and send it alongside the other one. And you can send two slates of electors to
so that would be more
be counted on January 6th. Now what happens is when they go to open those and they say, okay, crap, we have two of these for Michigan. Michigan sent us two slates of electors.
Right, so there'd be more electoral votes then.
No, one's for Biden and one's for Trump. And they go, what do we do? Well, they vote. They say, oh, well, this is a contested state. These guys say it's contested. And more than likely, they will pick the GOP ones. And so then either that or what they can also do is say, we're just not going to count any of these electors for this state because it's still contested. And so if anyone gets under 270, then they stop and they vote for who the next president is. And the Senate votes for the next vice president is. And then that person becomes the president on the 20th of January.
Yeah.
So currently right now,
that could happen.
Technically speaking. So I don't think that actually is not that far out. And that's happened as soon as like 1876. It totally happened.
Right. 1876 seems like a long ways away.
And I will say why I think it's a likely option.
Yeah, tell me why.
It's the last time we had a really contested election.
Uh-huh.
So it's worked. It's just this is the first time we've had a super contested election. Whether people want to say there is no evidence, you're lying to yourself if you think there is no evidence. You're just not reading. You're not looking.
Look at it.
Ooh, okay.
But because they're contested and it's contested enough and it's proven by the evidence and videos and everything in all these states, technically Biden does not have enough electoral votes to win. Neither one of them do. To be quite honest. But tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Nevada GOP is coming out, and that's what we believe they're going to say is, we're meeting to do our own electors. Arizona has said tomorrow morning they're announcing something as well. They were this close as well. If they send their own electors, we know that Georgia's really close to doing the same thing, and we know that Michigan has this evidence that's being done. If Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia do that, it's over.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens in those situations. But if it was going to happen, it would surprise me that it wouldn't have already happened.
No, it wouldn't. It can't happen yet.
But then why could they do it tomorrow?
Because it doesn't. They could do it anytime before January 6th.
Right, but then why wouldn't have they already done it?
Why wouldn't they have? Because they were trying to make the process work. So what they were trying to do is say, hey, it's contested. Let's look at these votes. Let's look at which ones were legitimate. Let's look at what ones were not. Well, it didn't, and now they're like, sorry, too bad, so sad. We're going to send our electors based on the popular vote that you think is wrong, but we think is right. So now it is the time that they would do that.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating. That'll be fascinating if that happens. I kind of jumped the gun on this, but
do it.
We were talking about China, and we were talking about all the crazy circumstances and that big data leak. I really wanted to get your opinion on the U.S. Treasury breach that hackers basically supposedly
Russia,
backed by foreign government.
Yeah.
But I tried to find information on what foreign government and what was hacked.
Yeah,
do you have more information on that?
I do not. But I will tell you what I think is going on.
No, real quick though, before you tell me what's going on.
I don't tell you what's going on. I'll tell you what I think is going on.
Did you see any other information? All I saw was headlines, but I couldn't find any details.
I've seen headlines. I've seen people talking about it. That's it. There is no information. There is no information. And here's why I think. So remember before the election, what was being said? What was the question that Trump kept asking Biden and couldn't get him to answer? Where'd your son get that money? What's going on with Hunter?
Ukraine.
What's going on with Hunter?
Right,
what's going on to Hunter? How much money did you get from that, Joe? How much money did you get from that, Joe? Well, now the headlines are saying, turns out we are actually looking into Hunter Biden now.
Right.
We have this information. And he announced himself, they're going through my tax records.
Mm-hmm.
People, they are going through a hell of a lot more than his tax records right now, because they're also looking into Joe's brother and to Hunter's sister. There's a whole full-fledged investigation going on right now.
So how does this connect to the U.S. Treasury?
Because what do they need to cover up that's going on with that dude? If there's foreign actors that are sending him money, what would they want to hack in and cover up?
But how does the U.S. Treasury specifically related to his own personal
well, it would be especially if it was tied to Joe Biden.
No, but how does it connect specific? Like I'm trying to
because if it's tax records and stuff, they would have information on that.
The U.S. So I guess I didn't see that. I thought tax records would be IRS, not U.S.
but it just said like government hacking. So I mean,
no, it says U.S. Treasury.
I understand, but I guess what I'm assuming is there was more than just that going on. That's the only thing that's happened this week that would make sense to tie that to. Is if there are a couple different countries that are like, because he was also getting money from China. Like, we know that from his laptop. The laptop from
his businesses, his valid businesses in China.
Who would want to cover their tracks more than anyone right now?
I see how you're connecting a financial institution to there.
I'm just saying, like,
right. That's your theory.
That's my theory. I don't know what else they would want to be doing.
Well, anyways, that is a super interesting headline for everybody to be paying attention to.
I don't know
about the hack, because that's a big one for a foreign government to be hacking into another government's treasury.
It's definitely not a wise idea.
Dude, I really like a post that you made today. I think it was today, maybe, referring to
World War III.
Yeah, what was it? Media, something about media. Actually, I'll pull it up.
Pull it up.
It was a good quote. I liked it. I think it's a valid concern.
Yeah. So the reason I said that is because, and here's the path I think actually is happening. Yeah. If people really want to know Jordan's opinion, we have to go back a few weeks when I talked about the executive order that Donald Trump put into place in 2018.
Talk about this.
Talking about international interference in U.S. elections. I think that currently right now, everything that he's said and everything he's been doing has not been to try and win via the courts. I think if he won via the courts, he'd be super duper happy.
I think he was trying to.
I think he would. It would definitely make it cleaner. But I think more so what he was trying to do was make sure that as many people as possible know what's going on. Because I truly believe, and call me a conspiracy theorist, but I really don't believe this year that there's any conspiracies. But I don't think there's any coincidences either. Yeah. And there's just too many things lining up with this that I believe we're at war and we just haven't been informed of it yet.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
And so read my quote, and this is why I wrote this. Because
So
I think we're at
Jordan's-
war and nobody's told us
This
yet.
quote is from Marshall McLuhan,
In what year?
1970. McLuhan.
Sure.
World War III is a guerrilla information war with no division between military and civilian participation. Information war.
So we are in an information age.
But
Like,
that wasn't that Vietnam time? Was that 1970
Yeah.
Vietnam time? So there was information kind of war going on too.
yes,
at that
but
time.
not to the effect
Not
that
like this.
like right now, like a lot of the information that's hitting the
It's
courts
way
from
more hyper.
Trump right now, if people don't know it, it's from a little website called the Donald.win. It is an offshoot of a Reddit group that got kicked off of Reddit for being fans of Donald Trump and being conservative. And they started their own website called the Donald.win. Now, fun fact, just today, a new person joined the Win group, and that is r/conspiracy is getting kicked off of Reddit, and now there's going to be a conspiracy.win website because they couldn't have their own free thought on Reddit because Reddit is censoring them.
Ben Newell and Courtney Rocha said it is the Young Men's Christian Association.
Yes, I got it right.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Collegiate. I thought collegiate, but
That makes sense.
That's excluding younger people. So that doesn't
Why
make
am I
sense.
not? Are you those in YouTube or in?
I know it was weird. I had to exit out of the Facebook section to then
Huh.
go back into it. It's strange.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Weird.
See, that's what it was doing to me last week though. As far as comments, I couldn't see them.
Oh well. I guess I'm plagued by you this week.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. You're blessed by me.
So anyway, I would say the executive order is probably the route that we're going to see things go this week. Now, when we will know the thing that the date for people to watch, because I won't go into too much detail. I'll have some links and stuff if you really, really want to go read about it. If you're just like, I'm sick of hearing about elections, totally fine. But just know that there are things going on right now that the mainstream media is not telling you. And so the first date to watch for is December 18th, is 45 days from the election.
right.
So in his executive order said within 45 days, the heads of intelligence will deliver a pamphlet or information detailing any and all foreign access and meddling in U.S. elections.
December 18th, you said?
Yes. With proof as much as they can prove. It can be amended later or whatever. And within 45 days from that point is when they will take action. And the action that they can take is that they can sanction and freeze assets, money, properties, everything of
about that.
anyone involved. Now, mind you, if China is involved, there's also a link that I'm not going to get to where they have like 30 million acres of farmland is now owned by China. There's
in the US,
there's a huge amount of land that they just bought outside of some military bases in Texas. There's a ton of things that are very, very suspect that China has been purchasing. Number one, I don't know why we allow other countries to come in. Now, granted, they are investors. Anyone could argue that with me all they want.
It's difficult to distinguish between the country and
But here's
the
the deal,
individual.
people. When you are communist, it's the country that owns it. These are if you go look at the money that the guy put into there and see where that guy came from. He was a lowly no one, and then all of a sudden he's a giant businessman carrying a bunch of money in China. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. We had that too, and it was called what? Epstein,
Epstein Barr.
Or who was the dude that was flying around the plane and everything and all of a sudden was managing people's money that was a nobody? Yeah. So we had that too. We don't trust him either.
Okay.
And he didn't kill himself.
Let me throw some out there real quick. I'm really glad you brought up Jeffrey Epstein. Yes. He was suicided, right?
Yeah.
So this actually is a link that I had posted to
the Seth Rich laptop or whatever.
No.
Right.
Pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator.
Ooh. Bill Clinton.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
Ghislaine, you know his main
she purveyed
partner. Yeah.
Ladies Forum.
Oh yeah.
But then she was also I'm pretty sure involved with the shady underworld financial stuff, going on. Government basically bribery.
If you guys were a really deep dive in conspiracy, like this, look up Pizzagate.
Oh, I have.
Holy crap.
Well, yeah, it's gone to extremes where there's some interesting things, but
for sure.
Before I get on to
I don't want to talk about
that's a whole
I do not even want to talk about I'm just saying I don't want to ignore that our own country doesn't have their own dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. But the fact that China owns land here, just to end my thought on that.
Don't agree with it.
Super messed up.
Super sketchy.
Shouldn't be happening.
Agreed.
And if they meddled in our elections, I want all of our land back. Give it to the farmers. Give it to him for free. I don't care. I'll sign something.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Gasoline.
So there was kind of a lot of talk about, well, why hasn't she been arrested yet? What's going on? How is she? If Epstein was in prison for a year basically before she was arrested, how has she been protected? How is she what is her situation going on? Well, recently she just the prosecutors against her were saying to the judge, you cannot let this person out. She has 3 different passports from 3 different countries she's been citizens of.
Ooh.
She's gained citizenship from just by her wealth. She has hundreds of millions of dollars in offshore funds potentially. She has wealth in all these different statuses. She has other governments that she is actively dealing with. And so they had set a bond that they thought would be really high. So they set it for almost $30 million bond. So just today or yesterday or something like that,
it was met.
It was just met. And so it says that it was basically proposed. It was a contribution of her own wealth, but then a combination of close family and friends that supported her to get her out. Now, obviously she's a flight risk, right? But here's the interesting thing. A couple people were asking, well, why did she stay? Because you could see she stayed in the U.S. before, while Jeffrey Epstein was in prison. They're like, why didn't she flee at that time when she wasn't under arrest?
What's her motivation? Yeah.
So the question was she afraid of getting caught at the time, and that's why she didn't flee? Okay. Because she thought if I try to get out of the U.S., they're gonna prevent it from happening.
Right.
Or is she concerned about the knowledge that she has on the other governments? And so she's like, if I leave the U.S., I probably have the best chance of not being murdered in the U.S. as I do other countries right now.
Either way, she knows where the bodies are buried.
She knows some bodies, bro.
Yes.
She knows some bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Epstein, they tried to suicide him twice. And the second time took.
The second time took. Epstein didn't kill himself, okay? Can we just get that out there?
No, definitely did not. Definitely not. That's of all conspiracies and all the craziness, I can't believe our entire country has not gone in an uproar over that
Here's
situation.
The thing. Okay,
because everybody just laughed it off and they're like, yeah, he totally
have either of you guys watched the...
I know. But we're such a country of freedoms and rights, but it's that's the blatant murder by a government organization, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's just nobody says anything.
What's the plot to something the president? There's it's a documentary.
Manchurian Candidate?
No, yeah, it's not that. It's the plot to I'll look it up.
Nixon.
Okay.
Goldgate or
it's one you guys
Watergate?
need to go watch. And, plot to take down the president.
Oh,
it's on Amazon Prime.
Olympus Has Fallen, or is there another one?
No. It's a documentary. It is legit freaky and legit. We have some skeletons in our closet, and I think that
what's it about?
I think we are seeing. So it starts out basic, kind of does a quick brush up to the presidency of Trump and what the media and everyone does to try and launch against him. As far as the Russian collusion, and it goes into the details of that and the details of who they blamed, the details of General Flynn.
Oh, this one. Okay, this one was made by Proud Boys.
No.
Well, maybe it was.
Kind of up your
alley.
alley.
So full of shit.
Sounds like it's a Trump. Sounds like a Trump rally movie.
Yeah.
No, it's totally about the fakeness of it, the fakeness of that whole 3.5 years, which is something that he was trying to declassify so that people would see they didn't have anything ever, because there's tons of they kept asked everyone on the stand do you know of any evidence that leads to this, do you know of any evidence, and nobody did except for this 8 people that always would say this is what's going on, but I can't tell you too much because it's classified in the documents. And so he's been trying to declassify those documents to reveal that they don't have anything in them.
Right.
And so anyway, it's really good. And it's something that I was thinking about when I was watching. Is we talk about all these people with the money, right? And people are like, I can't believe Trump just wants to be president to have power. Well, then why in the world doesn't Elon Musk buy his way in there, or Soros, or someone? If money really gets you up to power, and everything,
Joe Rogan,
or Joe Rogan. So
I would vote for Rogan.
Everyone would vote. I mean, he would.
I guess to me that's just a terrible argument. for why Trump would want to be president.
Well, I don't think it'd be a I guess one thing is if there was some way he had, and I'm not, this is like a way just kind of like random thought I'd had in the past. If there was something that he had done or someone he knew had done something prior to him becoming president that he knew he could extend pardons to right before he ends.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that. Like,
well, right. And that's another thing I was wondering. Are all, I don't know,
are
all pardons public? Can there be a private pardon?
No, I think they have to be, because
so.
they have to be public because they have to wipe out things that were done publicly.
Yeah.
So
no, because they were saying you can do a pardon, a preemptive pardon. So they were talking about. I listened to a podcast about it. Who was it? George Washington did it.
Of all the presidents, though, President Trump has done the least of anybody. It's ridiculously low. I want to think
the number of people he's
his is like less than 50. Whereas like even this week there was someone that Obama pardoned that got rearrested for like importing drugs.
Obama pardoned a lot of people.
Like 1,900.
Yeah, a ton.
I would pardon a ton of people.
I'm sure you would.
Just so you know.
I would just walk around going, pardon.
Pardon. You want a pardon. You get a pardon.
No. I'd be like, bump into him and be like, oh, pardon.
I'd be the Oprah Winfrey of pardons.
How many?
You get a pardon. You get a pardon.
Pardons for everyone.
Can you imagine?
Here's the two people I hope he does pardon.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Julian Assange.
And of course,
Edward
Snowden. I'm shocked that he has not pardoned Snowden yet.
I think he will in the end.
PR it would give him, the good PR it would give him is
everyone's calling for it right now.
Exponential.
Everyone's calling
it's
for it.
Fascinating.
He's based though. I don't.
But
think they'd be okay with it, right?
No, I think they would because
so?
his base does not want the government involved in their personal information.
True,
right?
true.
They want that freedom.
A lot of people didn't
He would
like.
just
here's what
for exposing secrets and stuff.
I was thinking
so
about
that's
this
what I was
today.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he won't do Snowden and unless he does a really deep route of getting rid of the deep state. If he pulls off this executive order I was talking about and reveals a bunch of people and they get caught up in this collusion with the election and get seized and essentially do the time they should, which is people are thinking like, but that never happens. Okay. It feels like a head to me. Like we're finally at that point where it's like it's gone on long enough. Someone's got to do it or we're just going to go full communist China. Like that's what it feels like to me. So if that happens, I think at that point, if the deep state was revealed and a ton of its operatives that are within our country were taken care of, I think he then would go, okay, student, your time's up. Because I think he's not safe until that happens. I think if he were to pardon him and Snowden were to come here, he'd get suicided anyway.
You think Snowden would get suicided?
Yes.
Perhaps. And that's the other thing. Like Snowden had talked about when Joe Rogan had him on the other day, and he was asking, "Would you want a pardon?" And he was talking about,
he said he would rather have Assange.
He's like, I would be happy if I was given a pardon, but I'm not asking for a pardon.
Okay. Yeah. But he even said, if you give it to anyone, give it to Julian Assange.
Yeah.
On Twitter. But it's like this week they admitted that Seth Rich's laptop, we've had it. And he's the one, he's the one that he's attributed to the one of the Clinton body counts of being suicided for having. And
that was a journalist,
I think
wasn't
he
that
actually
that honest mugging that happened. Is that what you're talking
about? The honest mugging where he got shot in the back twice and killed. They said, we've got his laptop, and it was suspected that he's the one that released some of the emails from the DNC.
Yeah.
Which
that was.
It makes sense that he would have.
Jeez, dude. Well, anyway. I think that's most of the major topics I have for today. Do you got any other major topics?
No.
I got some.
There's one other date for people to look for.
Yeah.
So December 18th, and we can talk about the other one as it comes up. The other date, and I don't know if you've tied this to anything, but I've got some cool things about it. But so December 18th, which is this week, it's Friday. Is that when it is? 7? Yeah, I think it is.
Can you look that up for us?
Thursday's the 17th. 18th is Friday. That's the date to look for because that would be the day that he would get that
deadline.
Or the last day that he would get that information, that report of any Russian or any whatever. Now, for people that are thinking like, well, he's just not going to get anything because there is no evidence. There is a redacted witness on one of the Michigan cases who is from the 305th something or other cybersecurity command, whose name is redacted, that has a ton of information about where those servers were going that night. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, they probably do have everything.
Yeah.
Even without that deep dive into Michigan's forensic audit of the machines.
Well, if they're able to find evidence these servers are communicating.
So that's the other thing that executive order does is if they say yes, there was that, it deems every single voting machine in the country evidence, and it will be impounded.
Great.
Let's see evidence. I'm happy to see evidence.
But the other date to look for, because he just made it a federal holiday this year, is December 24th. So he made Christmas Eve a federal holiday and said, unless it is a matter of intelligence, you are not to come to work on December 24th. That is a specific day length from.
You mean he's talking to like Congress?
Federal employees.
Federal employees, okay.
Unless it's a matter of intelligence. Specifically, it says, unless it's a matter of intelligence.
Or federal hospital.
You are to stay home and not come to work. You are not allowed to come to the office. And that date is very specific because it lines up perfectly with when he gets that information.
Can you imagine Christmas Eve he releases some type of information like that?
Well, if they're all home.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. Something to think about,
anyways,
guys.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Yeah, I did not connect that one. That is crazy. I didn't.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
This is what happens when you sit up late at night and think, what's possible?
The Donald.
You got any TILs for today, Doc?
I do. I have one.
Okay, I got two, so let me go first.
Okay. Today I learned that in the 20th century, the phrase, quote, "he never married," unquote, was a euphemism used by the British obituary writers to imply that the deceased man in question was homosexual.
Yeah. That's clever. Makes sense. Today I learned.
Why would you need to put that in there?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
It's a little jab.
You weirdos.
Today I learned the ritual of releasing doves in the Olympics originated in 1896. The ritual was altered to be purely symbolic after the doves released in 1988 Seoul Olympics landed on the Olympic torch and were burnt alive when it was lit. So they released the doves, light the torch, boom, blow up the doves.
I was hoping it was going to be something like that, but my computer science teacher used to work for JPL, and he said those big microwave rays that they use to like communicate and all that kind of stuff, they're that huge dish, right? Well, they literally use microwaves. So, so they just like you eat your food with, and he said that birds would like be chasing bugs and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And they would fly in, and you said you could just watch, they like and just land on the ground. It would just microwave them to death.
Okay.
And then they would have to shut it off and go in and clean out like the dead birds.
That is horrible, but I want to see it at least once.
I know. Seriously. Can you imagine? It's like
that's a good point.
I wonder how warm it would be.
Okay, so the last TIL I have. This is applicable, especially since we have the Mandalorian going right now.
Oh my gosh. Who's caught up on that?
Yo-yo.
Yeah,
all of us.
No spoilers, right?
So today I learned that when filming the TV series The Mandalorian in 2019, so last year, the crew ran out of stormtrooper costumes. So they reached out to a local branch of Star Wars fan organization whose members came to join the filming in their own homemade stormtrooper costumes.
That's amazing.
So the people that were such avid fans actually got to be in The Mandalorian because they were such fans and had their own stormtrooper suits.
I would waste a day of vacation for that.
Dude.
For sure.
Can you imagine being in The Mandalorian?
Yes.
I'd waste a few days of vacation.
Oh, bro. That'd be so dope. All right.
I wouldn't consider it a waste.
Yeah,
this is going to a good cause.
That's a win.
I used the wrong word. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's a win.
Yeah, I want to correct you right now.
Right.
All right, shower thoughts.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Considering how our bodies react to other things that eat our blood, vampire bites would probably be very itchy.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. Or the ultimate just kill you, basically.
Probably that.
One itchy death.
Rash.
One super itchy death.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you failed at something nobody has ever failed before, then you have accomplished something nobody has ever accomplished.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's deep.
Isn't that deep? I got a couple good deep ones today.
I'm going to use that.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Here's a super deep one. Dinosaurs are never shown with their genitals.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
That's a good point.
Can you imagine?
That's a great point.
A T-Rex would be way more frightening.
They just split in half.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, maybe they're all just internal.
I hope not.
Sucked right up there. Oh, that's a crazy thought. Okay.
Can't get it out.
If humans were as intelligent as we think we are, we would probably agree on more things.
That's a good point.
Deep.
It's deep.
Hit it.
Great.
Yeah. You can instantly stress out anyone just by yelling out, "Catch!"
Yeah, for sure. For sure. This is a little comic. This is a comic shout out. This is a thought I've actually had a little bit as well before. Deadpool, the character.
Yeah.
Deadpool could be the greatest hero ever just by simply being an organ donor.
Oh. He kind of like inadvertently is a lot.
I don't think the movies would be as good if he was doing that, though.
No, but I mean, think about like if he like if it was like every holiday, like Deadpool's just wrapping up a liver, and he's like, "Oh, here you go." He's
Okay,
like,
that's actually a really good
wrapping
idea.
up a heart, and sending it off.
What's little Tommy need today?
Yeah, I mean that would be hilarious
Yeah.
too,
They'll probably do it in the next movie.
right? It'd be
They
genius.
should. They should.
All right, you got any
Okay.
more? I got one more.
I have a couple more.
Okay,
I
hit me with yours.
picked really good ones. So, okay. When a morgue worker dies, he still goes into work the day after.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that. Okay, that's my last one.
Okay.
That was a stiff joke.
History becomes harder to believe when you see how it's made.
Oh yeah.
I've been seeing that a lot lately,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially after watching this World War II history, Hitler's closest friends documentary.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but yeah, history becomes
You're
a lot
really
harder to believe.
You're just.
I've been
really
into history a lot lately.
You've been a really big Hitler fan.
I have been like very interested in his situation because I'm seeing a lot of similarities between that uprising
Yeah.
and current situations. So
Oh.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Like China.
certain parallels.
Okay. Here, this will be my last one. Subway really normalized eating an entire loaf of bread.
So true. Oh, so true. So terrible for us, but so good.
Oh wait, but I wasn't gonna read this last one, but it's perfect after reading that. I just realized.
I don't get it.
Okay, there comes a point in life where people telling you, "Look how big you've gotten," stops being a compliment.
So good. That's so funny.
I was like, "Wait a second, that's perfect."
That's
after
really
that
good.
last one, how
that's
could I?
really good. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Natural flow there.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, David, brother. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Right on,
Pleasure as
anytime,
always.
man.
Thanks for talking about the pool.
Air bumps.
Always.
And guys, thank you for tuning in. If you like us, please feel free, if you have time, to give us a like on Facebook, Instagram. Give us a thumbs up or a 5-star on iTunes and
Yeah.
Spotify if you have the time.
We're not
there.
on Parlor
We're not on Parlor,
or like MeWe.
but I think
That's
we're still
cool.
on Spotify.
So far,
Let's
we
double
haven't
check.
been kicked off to YouTube.
Yeah, which is great.
I've been really doing a good job of trying
Check
to be.
the stream.
Yeah,
And,
check the stream.
Yeah, so we appreciate you all so
But
much.
yeah, share our stream too.
Yeah, share it.
I know I've been tagging some
And-
people. If you want me to tag you, just let me know.
Yeah. Let us
Your
know if you
friends
guys
with
have
me.
anything in particular. We love your engagement when you're talking with us, so it's always fun.
Especially when I can see your comments.
Yeah.
That usually is better.
Yeah.
Help
But you guys have a
other than
fantastic
that-
week, and
Yep.
we will keep you updated next week. Peace out.
All
you
right.
later.
See you guys.